Right now, you probably think your ETF portfolio is completely bulletproof. You log into your brokerage account, you see VOO, you see QQQ, maybe a little SHD sprinkled in there. You sit back, take a sip of your coffee, and think to yourself, I'm safe. I own thousands of companies. I am perfectly diversified. Wrong. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you are not. In fact, if the market shifts tomorrow, your seemingly safe portfolio might just fall off a cliff, exactly like a single highly volatile stock would. Most beginners think they have built an impenetrable fortress of diversification, but what they've actually built is a very fragile house of cards. Today, we are going to expose the hidden cracks in your portfolio, why your brain is tricking you into making these errors, and exactly how to fix them before it's too late. I'm even going to give you one single question later in this episode that will instantly bulletproof your investments. Welcome back to Grow with Tony. I'm Tony, and I am thrilled you're here today. Just a quick reminder before we dive in. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and is not official financial advice. All right, let's get right into it. By the end of this episode, you are going to leave with a crystal clear framework you can apply to your money, literally, today. We're talking about exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. Now, ETFs are incredible tools, but they come with a massive, dangerous psychological trap, the false sense of security. Think about the way ETFs are marketed. It's a basket of stocks, they say. Buy one share, own hundreds of companies. Because of this, beginners confuse the simple act of holding multiple ETFs with actual mathematical diversification. There's this deep emotional comfort in buying a bundle. You think if owning one bundle of stocks is safe, owning 5 different bundles must make me practically invincible. This leads to dangerous overconfidence. You stop looking at what you actually own and start trusting the labels on the tin. But here is the reality check every successful investor has to face. True diversification is about holding uncorrelated assets. It's not about accumulating a high quantity of funds. If everything in your portfolio moves in the exact same direction at the exact same time, you are not diversified. You're just heavily concentrated in a very complicated way. And that brings us to mistake number 1. Overlapping holdings. I see this literally every single day. Overlap happens when you buy multiple ETFs that hold the exact same underlying stocks. Let's look at that classic beginner combo I mentioned, VOO and QQQ. VOO tracks the S&P 500. QQQ tracks the NASDAQ 100. On the surface, a beginner thinks, great, I have the broad market, and I have the tech market. But if you actually open the hood, what do you see? Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, Meta. These mega-cap tech companies don't just exist in both funds. They completely dominate both funds. Think of it like this. Imagine you're going on a long hike in the desert. You want to be safe, so you bring 2 separate water sources, a red canteen and a blue canteen. You feel incredibly secure. If my red canteen leaks, you think, I've got the blue one. What you don't realize is that both canteens are connected to the exact same hose at the bottom. If a cactus punctures that hose, both canteens drain completely dry at the exact same time. That is what overlapping ETFs do to your money. When the tech sector takes a hit, and it always does eventually, your supposedly diversified portfolio is going to crash just as hard as if you only owned one tech stock. You haven't spread your risk, you've just multiplied your exposure to it. Check your own portfolio using free tools like etfrc.com. Type your funds in and see the overlap for yourself. But overlap isn't the only trap. Mistake number 2 is where beginners actually lose their shirts. Chasing performance. In behavioral finance, we call this recency bias. As human beings, our brains are hardwired to look for patterns to survive. But in the stock market, this instinct destroys wealth. Recency bias is the psychological trap of treating recent events as a guaranteed predictor of future outcomes. If something went up for the last 2 years, your brain screams that it will keep going up forever. Because of this, beginners almost always build portfolios looking in the rearview mirror. Right now, it's all about tech, AI, and semiconductors. Everyone is terrified of missing out on the AI boom. But history is begging us to pay attention. In 1999, everyone loaded up on internet ETFs right before the dot-com bubble burst. It took a decade and a half for the NASDAQ to recover. In 2014, people piled into energy ETFs right before crude oil collapsed. In 2021, disruptive tech funds were skyrocketing. Retail investors poured billions in. And a year later, many of those funds lost 70% of their value. Here is the brutal truth. By the time you and your neighbor are talking about a hot sector, the easy money has already been made. Institutional investors bought in years ago. When you buy into a trend simply because it just went up, you are paying peak premium prices for maximum risk. A strong portfolio is built on logic, not chasing last year's winning lottery numbers. So, let's say you fix your overlap and you stop chasing trends. You're safe, right? Not if you're making mistake number 3, ignoring asset class diversification. Look at almost any beginner portfolio, and you'll see it is 100% equities, usually 100% US equities. Betting on the US stock market has been a fantastic historical strategy, but the financial universe is so much bigger. You have domestic equities, international equities, bonds, real estate, and commodities. Why does this matter? Because they all have different personalities. They behave differently under different economic weather conditions. Think of your portfolio like building a car. Equities, your stocks, are the engine. They provide the power and forward momentum. You need them? But bonds? Bonds are the shock absorbers. Beginners routinely skip bonds entirely because they seem boring. They don't offer massive overnight gains. But let me tell you what happens when you drive a car with a massive engine and 0 shock absorbers down a pothole-filled road. It is a terrifying ride, and eventually, the car shakes itself apart. When a recession hits and stocks drop 30%, bonds historically hold their value or even rise. They provide a parachute. Having that boring allocation is exactly what stops you from logging into your account in a blind panic and selling all your stocks at the absolute bottom. Boring is what keeps you rich. But how much should you put in stocks versus bonds? That brings us to mistake number 4, having the wrong allocation for your specific time horizon. A 25-year-old just starting out and a 55-year-old approaching retirement should not hold the same portfolio. Yet I see people copy-pasting portfolios from Reddit without asking if it fits their actual life phase. Listen closely because this is critical. You must understand the difference between risk tolerance and risk capacity. Risk tolerance is purely emotional. It's your ego. It's you saying, I have diamond hands, I won't sell if the market drops 50%. But risk capacity is pure, cold math. It is your bank account talking. It's a measure of whether you can financially afford to take the hit. If you are 30 years old and investing money you absolutely need in 2 years for a house down payment, your risk capacity is practically 0. You cannot afford a 40% drawdown no matter how brave you feel. If the market crashes when you need that check, your dream home is gone. This introduces the concept of the glide path. Your asset allocation should not be static. It must slowly shift and become more conservative as you get closer to the day you need to spend the cash. You must align your risk with your timeline. And finally, mistake number 5, overcomplicating the whole thing. Some beginners realize they need to diversify, so they swing the pendulum way too far in the other direction. They treat ETFs like Pokemon. They have to catch them all. I've seen $10,000 portfolios split across 18 different ETFs. A robotics fund, a clean energy fund, a cybersecurity fund. Listen to me. More ETFs do not equal better diversification. What it actually creates is an administrative nightmare. Having 20 funds makes rebalancing nearly impossible. You end up with diversification, watering down your best investments with mediocre ones just to own more ticker symbols. Study after study shows a deeply boring, simple 3-fund portfolio will absolutely crush complex, hyper-managed setups over the long term. A total US stock fund, a total international fund, and a total bond fund. 3 clicks, and you own the global economy. Simplicity is not laziness, it is efficiency. All right, we've torn down the bad habits. How do we actually fix this today? What does a solid beginner ETF portfolio look like? It comes down to a simple, incredibly powerful 3-step framework. I call it the PAS framework. Purpose, allocation, and selection. You must do them in this exact order. Step 1. Purpose. Before you look at a single stock ticker, define what this money is for. Is it a retirement nest egg you won't touch for 30 years? Or a house fund you need in 5? The purpose dictates your risk. Step 2. Allocation. Based on that timeline, decide your percentages, how much goes in the engine, equities, and how much in the shock absorbers, bonds. Maybe for retirement, it's 90% equities, 10% bonds. Make this decision before you ever look at a fund. Step 3. Selection. Only after knowing your purpose and allocation do you go shopping for ETFs. Pick funds that fill your buckets completely without overflowing into each other. For example, a medium-risk beginner might allocate 70% to stocks and 30% to bonds. For the stocks, they just buy VT, the Vanguard Total World Stock ETF. Instantly, they own thousands of companies globally. For the bonds, they buy BND, a total bond market ETF. Two funds. It takes 5 minutes to set up, requires zero maintenance, and completely eliminates sector overlap. And remember, always check the expense ratio. Never pay high fees for broad market exposure. Now, I promised you one single question that will bulletproof your portfolio. As you progress, you will inevitably be tempted to buy a hot new ETF you read about online. When that moment comes, ask yourself this: what does this ETF do that my existing holdings do not already do? Interrogate the new fund. Does it give you exposure to a country you don't own? An asset class like real estate you're missing? If you look at the new fund and realize its top holdings are just Apple and Microsoft, and you already own the S&P 500, then it does absolutely nothing new. Do not hit buy. This one filter alone eliminates 95% of the overlap, performance chasing, and complexity mistakes we just talked about. Every addition must serve a distinct mathematical purpose to reduce overall risk. Let's do a rapid-fire recap so you walk away with this locked in. True diversification is about holding uncorrelated assets. We covered the 5 fatal mistakes. Number 1, buying overlapping holdings that secretly concentrate your risk. Number 2, chasing past performance and buying at the top due to recency bias. Number 3, ignoring the protective shock absorbers like bonds. Number 4, ignoring your actual risk capacity and investing with the wrong time horizon. And number 5, overcomplicating your life with too many funds. We also broke down the PAS framework: purpose, allocation, and selection. Define the goal, set the percentages, then pick broad, low-cost funds, and finally, use that golden bouncer question to keep useless ETFs out of your portfolio. Investing is deeply personal. The ultimate goal isn't to build a mathematically perfect portfolio for a spreadsheet. The goal is to build a portfolio that lets you sleep at night, one you will actually stick with when the market is flashing red. I want to hear from you right now. I want to see what you are working with. Drop your current ETF lineup down in the comments below. Be totally honest. I am going to jump into the comments and tell you exactly what I see. Let's find those overlaps together. If you found value in this episode and you want clear, straightforward investing without the Wall Street jargon, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, make sure you subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. This content is for you, so let me know in the comments what topic you want me to cover next. What are you struggling with? Let me know. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today on Grow with Tony. Stay disciplined, keep it simple, and I'll see you in the next one.